I'll give you a big picture, and I'm going to pull us back into how this relates to child welfare, families and children, and substance abuse. Members, in 1960s, heroin devastated our people. It hit the U.S. and it was a crushing blow to our people. It just devastated our people. Back in the 1980s and 1990s, crack cocaine hurt our inner cities. Exploded upon the scene. Crack cocaine, powder cocaine really was a gut punch to America. We're beginning to see a pattern. In the early 2000s, crystal meth wiped out cities. You all know about the meth labs throughout our nation. And Hawaii, because we're non-contiguous, like Rep. Wilson and I, we're not part of the contiguous U.S. Alaska and Hawaii was devastated per capita. We were really hit hard by the crystal meth epidemic. And now we come to 2010, and we see the opioid epidemic. And the scary thing about this, we see a pattern here, but according to CDC in 2016, 64,000 Americans died of a drug overdose. That's the highest. That is a scary fact, dubious fact for our people in the United States. Now what's the one commonality that we see when we talk about heroin and cocaine, and I didn't mention it, but alcohol, crystal meth, opioids, and a number of other drugs that I haven't even mentioned? The one commonality is addiction. So as we joined as Opioid Fellows, and I hope the next class, many of you will be part of that, because Senator Wilson and I had a great time. We learned so much, and it was awesome, just like this class was, because there was no one-upmanship. Everyone was working with each other to better their state. It was a beautiful thing. The one commonality is addiction. And so if opioids now, fentanyl is now going to be the next killer, severe killer. 10 years from now, there's going to be another drug. It's a pattern, and we know it. So when we met as fellows, we talked about the big picture. We need a systematic change on addiction. And it's not only on opioids, it's on everything. Because as Kate was there and we're talking to our experts, when we put the lowdown on suppressing opioid addiction, guess what? Heroin goes up, crystal meth goes up, alcohol goes up, abuses of other drugs will go up. So we need to have a collaborative front when dealing with addiction. Here's the focus. When you talk about rehab, 6 months or even a year of rehab, that's great. If the state will pay that, if the Family First Act works on prevention and will pay that, that's great. 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, I'm going to tell you folks, it's not enough. Once you have an addiction, it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime. We heard a wonderful speaker, I won't mention her name. She was addicted and she got out of her addiction, and now she's a motivational speaker. She was at our last conference for the Health and Human Services Chair. She did a great job. Rehab needs to be a lifetime commitment. And this relates to child welfare services in our families that might be afflicted with addiction. We need a strong support system. So when you're talking about families, children with their parents or foster parents, or their regular parents that unfortunately got addicted to something, you also need a strong support group, be it AA, family, church, your DHS worker, your nonprofits. You need that support system, and you need to continue it for a lifetime. And once you're able to beat your addiction, it's always going to be there in the back of your mind. So you need to know later on you'll be a mentor to someone else, but you can always backslide. Addiction is a major concern. Once we get that mom or dad stable and we allow them to heal, we need to have them build self-confidence. After that, we need to help them be examples to mentor others. So intervention services for children and for families and children that are dealing with substance abuse is important, but that's just the start. That's day one. This is going to be a lifetime. And again, if they can be successful, and I'm a realist, you're not going to save everyone, but if you can save that mom or dad or that family that has a substance abuse problem, they're going to be a prime example, shining example. and this will carry on. And I've heard Representative Ray yesterday did a great job from Utah talk about Vivitrol and how it helps deaden your craving for drugs. Invega does the same. That's only one aspect. Again, it needs a whole systemic change in your lifestyle. You need to stay with that support system and stay real. For our state, Senate Bill 2646 is electronic prescription accountability system. Simple. It's monitoring the other doctors. So just say Senator Wilson and I hypothetically are doctors, and all of a sudden they're looking at the chart, and Regina, they see Mizuno is prescribing 80% more opioids than Senator Wilson, Dr. Wilson, and all the other doctors. So it's meant not really to vilify me, but to call me out. So we're not subject to penalty under the Federal Uniform Controlled Substance Act, but we're given a warning, and our medical board can provide professional discipline. So that was one of the bills we passed because of the Opioid Fellows policy group. Thanks, Kate, and Senator Wilson and our team. Last year, we established a 7-day limit with exceptions. Say I get a hip surgery and I need oxycodone for 10 days. The doctor will explain why, and I can probably get it for 10 days. You'd think this would be simple. House Bill 1602 opioid warning label. And by the way, we're blue state, and the person that introduced this was a Republican, and she passed it, which hardly ever happens. We know that. I can even read how simple it was. It says, caution, opioid, risk of overdose and addiction. Duh. But you know, we, believe it or not, in conference, we got an earful from Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs saying that we're going to charge the pharmacist a Class C felony if he does something. And Baker and I were just livid. We're like, where were you? We're going through the bill hearings throughout the entire session, and we're on conference. We've got 2 days left, and you're telling us this. We did a fix. We did a quick fix, and we passed it. It was a minor change. But anyways, some of the fun that we have in conference. Senate Bill 2247, we followed Senator Wilson, the opioid antagonist. This is naloxone. This is for if you have a person that is possibly addicted to opioids, not only does that person, but your family member or caregiver can go to the pharmacist and get that antagonist to rehabilitate the person that ODs. So this was very important. And again, we pretty much followed Senator Wilson and Alaska, what they did. We copycat their law. I mean, it's real simple. Why reinvent the wheel? And Senate Bill 2407 allows medical cannabis to be used to treat opioid abuse or withdrawal symptoms. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed it. We're not coming back for an override, so the bill is dead. But if you want to look it up, Senate Bill 2407. And the last point I wanted to make, and I wanted to thank Kate and my colleague, Senator Wilson, all of you here. Kate and the NCSL team on the Opioid Policy Fellows did a great job. In fact, we even got our own web page, my understanding. So if you all are interested in looking up what some of the measures were, simply turn to it as a resource. And with that said, I just want to thank all of you. It's been an honor. We've learned so much from each other. We're less than 25, very select group, but thank you again for sharing your knowledge and allowing us to become better lawmakers. Thank you.
I also just forgot to mention